Good morning, students. Welcome to your science class. Students, today we are going to start with the volume 2. So we were left with block 17 is where we are going to start from. And the name of the block is Carbon on Earth, and it is section 1 and section 2 today is which we are going to study. So the section 1 is occurrence of carbon and section 2 is crystalline allotropes of carbon. So the resources we will need is a charcoal, a play doh, S1X2 worksheet, notebook and content book. The keywords which we will be using frequently in this class is elemental, allotropes, lustrous, conductor and flaky are the few words which we will be using in today's class. The aim of our class is to identify how carbon occurs on the earth, and we will also compare the structure and properties of crystalline allotropes of carbon. So let's start our class. Now we have all seen charcoal, which is very commonly available. Now we all know that this is made up of carbon. Now carbon is the fourth most abundant element on the earth. Now you will pause the video, you're going to read the chapter and then come back to this video. I hope all of you would have read the chapter by now. So you in a notebook, in an extra notebook, please draw this table and differentiate what all you found about elemental carbon and what you found about compound carbon. You can write down here. You can pause the video and write it. I hope all of you would have done it. So let's proceed further. Now, which things containing carbons did you think of? And uh, let's look into the answer first. Now, many things that we use contain carbon. The following we eat. We normally eat carbon as compounds. The LPG gas what we use at home is used is contains carbon. The fuel, petrol, diesel, kerosene contains carbon, as well as diamond, which is used in making jewelry, also contains carbon as an element. Now, in which form do they contain carbon as element or as a compound? So, here we are looking at the answer. So we are talking about jewelry and diamonds, so carbon becomes an element. Now, coming to the next question. My next question is, what are the different elemental forms of carbon on Earth and what are the different compounds of carbon found on Earth? So students, to answer that question, elemental carbons can be found on Earth crust, for example, as diamonds and graphite and coal. Compounds of carbons can be found in minerals, for example, like calamine, limestone, and dolomite. Now, all fossil fuels, when we talk about, so all fossil fuels and living organism contains compounds of carbons. Now, carbon compounds like carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide are present in atmosphere. Now, coming to the next question, where are elemental compound forms of carbon found on Earth? So the answer is it is in the atmosphere. So compounds like carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide are present in atmosphere. So what is the source of carbon dioxide on Earth? Now, the main source of the entire atmosphere, for example, if we take an example, uh, human beings also contains carbon, compounds of carbons. So what happens is compounds like carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, as we discussed, are present in the atmosphere. Now they enter the atmosphere when respiration takes place and fossil fuels are burned. Volcanoes also add a lot of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere, and the carbon dioxide in the air is used by plants for photosynthesis. So these plants are eaten by animals or become fossil fuels. So the continuous flow of carbon in the atmosphere is called as the carbon cycle. Now, what happens to the carbon dioxide that is already present in the air? So, what is present in the air uh, that is being it follows the carbon cycle, the CO2 cycle. How is the balance maintained? The balance is maintained by the plants, by the human beings, right? So the balance happens with the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. So here we have an example for that. Now, does the total amount of carbon on the earth remains the same or keeps changing? Why? Now, what would happen if the amount of carbon dioxide did not remain the same? So the answer to this question is carbon follows a cycle of change, and it follows in such a way that the total amount of carbon on earth always remains the same. Now it is important for life to be sustained on earth, as all living beings and living materials is made up of carbon and its compounds. When we discuss about carbon, how is it different from diamond, and what are such different forms of elements called? So, students, a diamond is a transparent while graphite is black. Now, they both are made up of elements of carbons but have different physical properties. Now, such different forms of the same elements are called as allotropes. So, here we are getting the definition of allotropes.